Hey everyone, Nick here and welcome back to GamerJoob, and welcome back to our Garten of Banban character concept series. So in today's video, the character looking into is the Monster Tarta Bird that we see in the new trailer for Garten of Banban 4. So we're going to this character's location, backstory, gameplay mechanics, and what their role could be in the upcoming game of Banban 4. Now as always, I will just state that this is not exactly what's going to happen in Chapter 4. I don't know what's going to happen in Chapter 4, nor does anyone. This is just a fun what if scenario and a cool creepy story we could tell, and we hope you enjoy. Also, this character may not be called Monster Tarta Bird, but that's what they look like, and that's the theory that we're going with for this video as well. And last, before we start today's video, do be sure to subscribe to GamerJoob as it helps out a lot and it's greatly appreciated. It also keeps you up to date with all the videos that we post. Also, do be sure to leave a like and stay tuned, as we're going to be doing our next character concept live stream tomorrow at 10:30 AM Australian Eastern Standard Time. So be sure to check it out and join in on all the fun. Alrighty everyone, well, let's get into character concept of the Monster Tarta Bird. So recently, the trailer for Garten of Banban 4 dropped, and it revealed a lot of interesting things. It appears that Sheriff Toadster is in fact an ally to the player. And it also looks like the sheriff has rounded up most of the characters and thrown them in jail. Maybe this was due to all the characters fighting in the end of Chapter 3. We can see each of the characters locked up in their own distinct cell. And what's more interesting is that Jumbo Josh and Stinger Flynn have their arms locked up so they won't break out. So this tells us that this is a pretty high security jail. Also, following Sheriff Toadster is one of the little Opila Bird chicks. As to why, it's still unknown. And then we see Queen Bouncelia's castle, and also the Queen herself sitting in her throne. Although we don't get to see the Jester, there's still a small hint to them on one of the whiteboards. But overall, the most interesting thing we see in the trailer is right at the very start. We can see a monstrous bird character that looks to be Tarta Bird. In Chapter 3, we see a demon version of Banban, and it looks like the same thing has happened to Tarta Bird as well. But although Sheriff Toadster was able to lock up and contain most of the characters, there was one that he couldn't. Maybe Tarta Bird turned into this monstrous form when seeing Opila Bird locked up behind the glass. Maybe the Monster Tarta Bird wants revenge on Sheriff Toadster for imprisoning Opila Bird. But for all we know, Sheriff Toadster might have done this act to protect them all. And he needs the player's help to return Tarta Bird back to his original self. Once done, the sheriff can finally contain him. So now we return back to the player. They have already met Sheriff Toadster and the little Opila Bird chick. The sheriff needs the player to find Monster Tarta Bird and return him back to the original Tarta. Whilst the player is searching for this monstrous bird, the sheriff and the chick are going to spring a trap to try and catch him. So it's goodbye for now, but they'll meet back up later on. So the player can hear Tarta Bird's screeches in the distance. If the player wants to get the drop on him, they can't just simply walk through the door. They need to be a lot more sneakier than that. So they decide to crawl through one of the vents and make their way over to Tarta Bird. But little did they know that Tarta Bird would be getting the drop on them. As the player crawls through the vents, they can hear other movements as well. As they crawl a little further, Monster Tarta Bird breaks through one of the vents. Tarta Bird lets out a screech as he tries to grab the player. The player keeps their distance and waits for the devilish bird to retreat. That was a close one. In this gameplay segment, the player has to carefully crawl through the vents, and they have to watch out for Tarta Bird breaking through and trying to attack them. The player would get an idea of which vent the Tarta Bird was going to break through. The tip of Tarta's beak would be poking out through the vents, and when the player gets close, he would burst out and attack them. So the player carefully makes their way through the vents and exits on the other side. They now find themselves in a large open area. They can see Monster Tarta Bird from across the room. What the player can also see is that the trap was set to capture Monster Tarta Bird. There is an X on the ground that marks the spot for Tarta Bird to stand on. Once he stood on the X, then Sheriff Toadster would spring the trap. So in this gameplay segment, the player needs to lure Monster Tarta Bird over to the X. But this would be easier said than done. Every time the player gets too close to Tarta Bird, he would attack them. So they need to use something to bring him over to the X. And this is where the Opila Bird chick comes in. The player needs to hold the chick and make sure that Tarta Bird sees them. Tarta would be filled with rage and start to chase the player. The player needs to run over to the X and plant the baby chick down, but the chick would run off if left for too long. So the player needs to plant them down at the right time in order for Tarta Bird to get trapped. Once the player has successfully done this, Tarta Bird steps on the X and the trap is sprung. Finally, Sheriff Toadster has caught the Monster Tarta Bird. But shortly after, Tarta Bird breaks out of his cage. Sheriff Toadster and the player need to make a break for it. They both run down a corridor as quickly as they can. They need to be fast as Monster Tarta Bird would be close behind. The player and Sheriff Toadster have to jump over a number of obstacles in order to get away. Eventually they find themselves at the front of Opila Bird's cell. Monster Tarta Bird reaches the cell and stares at Opila Bird. Shortly after, the chick finds itself in front of the cell as well. This gives the player an idea. Against Sheriff Toadster's wishes, the player presses the button and releases Opila Bird. The two birds approach each other and Tarta returns back to his normal self. Finally, they had done it. Both the birds are now free and out of their cell. The chick joins them and Sheriff Toadster agrees to let them be. If Tarta Bird was going to transform once again, if Sheriff Toadster locked away Opila Bird once more, then there wasn't any point. So the family of birds walked the other way and left the player and Sheriff Toadster alone. It wasn't what Sheriff Toadster wanted, but at least something was back to normal again. For now, Sheriff Toadster and the player part ways. The player heads on to whatever lies ahead. Maybe they were going to the Jester or Queen Bouncelina. But as to what it might be, we'll just have to wait and see until Garten of Banban 4 finally releases. Alrighty everyone, well, that's what we have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider leaving a like, comment, and subscribing. That's an absolute lot and it's greatly appreciated. As always, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of Monster Tarta Bird and what you'd like to see going forward. Also, do be sure to tune into our live stream tomorrow at 10:30 AM Australian Eastern Standard Time. I hope to see you all there, and we can make an awesome new character. Alrighty everyone, well, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.